see the first what I want to share with you. Okay, it's about research methodology. Am I okay? Yeah. So the question, it's not for you only, it's for me also, eh? So because I'm also apart from me completing my PhD, so after that I co-supervising with Dr. Prof. Dayang. So I'm still learning about research methodology. Okay, so that's why I'm taking this topic. But another important thing, because why I take this topic is that basically I am assigned to do a chapter, a chapter in research methodology book by Software Engineering Research Group. Yeah, okay. So I will share with you my chapter later. So basically what I'm doing now is trying to gather the material for the book. Yeah, okay. So is what I'm presenting enough for my chapter? So it's for you to identify. Okay, so okay, let me see. Okay, okay. So this one is the chapter that I'm working on. Okay, validation and verification actually of software engineering research. Okay, and what I'm instructed to do is about verify, validate, usability, control experiment on the research, on the methodology lah, on how to validate software engineering research. Okay, so basically what I want to talk is not lengthy. I think in 30 minutes or less it will be finished. But the most important thing is I want your feedback on what should be the content. If you think that my content is not touching on certain subject, I really need your feedback in order to enhance the content. Okay, so back to the validation. Okay, so which one comes first, validation or verification? Yeah, okay. So validation and verification in research. So basically, we validate. Yeah, we validate our method, we validate our product, we validate our approach. Yeah, okay. So validate comes first. It's a big picture lah. Yeah, so we want to validate by confirming or examining the evidence. Yeah, that what we propose is valid enough to the problem that we are solving. Okay, so that is validation. And where does verification comes? So verification comes from the verification comes from the detailed parts in your research, meaning that you want to verify whether your hypothesis is correct. Want to verify of your maybe of technique that you are using. Yeah, so verify is in the smaller view. Yeah, okay, that is what my definition is. So what is validation and verification in software engineering research is about this one. Yeah, okay. So why? Yeah, why do we need software engineering research? Yeah, why do we need? Okay, so as we know, software engineering is multidisciplinary. Yeah, multidisciplinary approach. Yeah, so we are dealing with technical issues, such as databases, OS, language, and also it's human intensive because the one who are using the technical knowledge is human. So it will involve social issues, psychology issues, method, techniques, language, and tools, of course, process, and also within an organizational context. So that's why, due to the engineering in software and due to the multidisciplinary approach, a scientific way to do the experiment is very, very much needed. So that's why we need science and software engineering together. Yeah. Okay. So so basically, when we talk about science and engineering, software engineering together, so we have different types of research methods in software engineering. So I'm not talking about quantitative, qualitative. So it would be later on. But this research method based on uh, Basili, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, I didn't put the reference. Don't have time. Okay, but I will put it later. Okay, so basically we have four types of research methods. So scientific, engineering, empirical, and analytical. Okay, however, what I want to highlight today is more towards empirical. Yeah. Okay, it's not about scientific where we can model based on observation. It's not about engineering where we have to study the current solution and then we propose and then we evaluate. But more towards empirical. So other research method will be catered by other lecturers in the book chapter. Okay, so I'm talking about empirical. Okay, so a model is proposed and evaluated through empirical studies, which can be in terms of case studies or experiments. Okay, so let's see on the hierarchy in what consists in empirical research methods. Okay, so we have two paths. So the first path is the descriptive research. Okay, where you describe about the situation events. Okay, so we have quantitative and qualitative also. So qualitative is where the case study are. Okay, and also quantitative is where you can use survey and also what else? Observation. Yeah. Okay, so that is descriptive. Okay, another path in empirical research method is experimental research. So this one I will concentrate on. Okay, so experimental research is where you identify cause and effect relationships in a quantitative way. Okay, it can be either you do it in laboratory, field experiment, or simulation. Yeah, so that is experimental research. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to concentrate on this one. Okay, so basically, okay, let's see. Okay, so basically, in experiments, we have two types. Okay, we have the first type technology oriented, and the second one is human oriented. Yeah, okay. So technology oriented is basically you want to identify, you want to test different tool against different object. Yeah, for example, this is very common in test researcher who are doing testing. So for example, you are trying two different test case generation applied to the same code or maybe a different code or maybe more than that. So this is technology oriented. And another experiments um, can be about human. Yeah, we apply our experiment on human. Okay, for example, apply two inspection method to two piece of code. Yeah, for example, okay. So that's the different types of experiment that can be done. Yeah. Um. So let's see. Okay. So basically, how to convert? How? Okay. How to do the experiment? Okay. So because of experiment, it's a very you do it in a very systematic way. So you have to start with you have to be clear of the concept first. Okay. And then indicator, and then what are required, the data required, what are the variables involved, and also the question to ask, especially if you are doing survey. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so these are the sample. Okay. Okay. So the concept, or in our case, it's quality. In software engineering, we are dealing with quality. So, for example, effectiveness quality. So what are you? What the indicator for you for effectiveness? Yeah. Okay. For example, effectiveness in this particular experiment is in identifying increasing or decreasing in the number of children, yeah, under the care of departments, for example, or maybe effectiveness is in the terms of strength and weaknesses of the model, yeah. Okay, so basically, when you identify the indicators or the basically the context of effectiveness that you want to identify, so you can what you can gather the data that is required, yeah, and then what are the variables, yeah, variables involved, okay. uh okay, so variables I will discuss later, and then we have also questions, questions uh which we want to ask the respondent, for example, okay. So this also can be used where we can represent this, what we call it, concept into indicators of variable using a GQM. Sorry, I didn't put the name there. Goal quality matrix, or another name can be goal quality model. Okay. So meaning that we identify the concept of the goal. Okay, the goal. If in our case, again, it's about our quality that we want to identify. Okay, and then the question. So for me, the question is related to the hypothesis that I want to verify, or whether I refute or I accept, the hypothesis. And then matrix. So how do I want to verify? So I verify based on the matrix related to the question that to the question, or I can say sub quality that I want to verify. Okay. So we have a few metrics. We have to identify metrics in order to verify all the questions or hypotheses that we want to verify. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then from there, I think okay, from there, okay. Okay, so we have all the concept, the goal, the quality, and the metrics already identified. Then we can start identifying the research design. Okay, so for the research design, okay, another way to identify, we can identify based on the cause and effect. Yeah, as the independent variable and dependent variable. So meaning that independent variable, okay, will affect the dependent variable. So meaning that we have the wait the independent variable, when we change it, it will affect the dependent variable, in a way. Okay, and we measure the dependent variable, the effect. Okay. So again, okay, again, when you do research design, the why does it has black here? Okay, in my screen there is no black. Okay, okay. So basically, experimental research design. Okay, so in designing the experiment, okay, we have to be clear of what okay, what are the steps that we have to do. Okay, so for example, just now we know the goal. We know the goal. Okay, it's not enough that we know the goal. We have to plan. What are the what are the steps that we have to do. So for example, the most important thing is instrumentation. Yeah, for the human. If we involve human, so we have to have survey, for example. So that is the instrumentation should be identified and then should be reliable. Yeah. Okay. And then selection of subject. Yeah. So based on the goal, so which subject that we want to involve in our experiment. Yeah. Okay. And hypothesis, of course. Yeah, based on the goal, we have the hypothesis. Okay. And then we have the preparation and execution of the design. So we have to be clear during the experiment, what do we have to prepare and how to execute, yeah, what we have planned. Yeah. Okay. And then comes the data analysis. Yeah. So so the first one is reliability of the construct, meaning the of course the instrumentation or maybe the documentation involved. So you have to identify the reliability, and then some sorts case we have to analyze using statistical method, or maybe descriptive statistics only. Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, again, we are validating our method, our approach, our technique. Yeah. Okay. So we have to think of what are the threats. What are the threats that can what that can affect the validity of our experiment. Yeah. So this one, I think you already know the internal validity, the external, and among the validity, there are many validity threats to validity. So among that, internal, external, and construct. Okay. Okay. So basically, again about research design. Okay. Okay. So research design. So we have okay. So we have a different way to design our experiment. Yeah. Okay. Either we cross design, meaning we cross between the tool and the design method. Yeah. So tool is being used into the tool is not used to method A in this kind of project. Yeah. Tool which the tool is not used in method B and what kind of project, for example. And also, so this is the example of the cross design. So I think for Prof. Dayang student, this particular uh, design is usually used, especially for testing. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So there are also nested design. So you're using that method, or you using the algorithm with this particular one. I think tool maybe. Yeah. So and then we can identify the difference between the treatment that we have designed for that experiment. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So after when we plan also, we have to identify what are the statistical methods in order to analyze our experiment. Yeah. Analyze our data from the experiment. Okay. So these are the sample lah. It's not it's not a definitive one. So there are many ways to identify the statistical method suitable. Okay. For example, if you're using two groups, one group, more than two groups, so maybe you use more than two groups, you can use an ANOVA, for example. So two groups only, you want to compare between two groups, you can have t-test. Okay, and also other ways lah. For example, if you have a normalized data, you can use a parameterized statistical technique, or non-normal data. Yeah, you can use Spearman candle from the non-parametric statistic. Yeah, okay. So there are many choices that you can make, yeah, in order to analyze your data. Okay. So I think. Okay, so like what I said, it's not a very lengthy presentation, since I'm what I'm figuring what should be, yeah, uh in the chapter, yeah. Okay, so basically to recap, what I have presented. Okay, the first one is why I want to present this topic is not because I'm expert. I never teach a research methodology subject even, okay, but because of wait go to the front. Okay, so it's because of I am and my I have um uh, a few of the lecturers are working, yeah, together in order to do a research book, yeah, research methodology book. So me and my friends are assigned this topic, yeah, validation and verification of software engineering research. Okay, so basically what I am proposing, yeah, based on today's presentation, okay, what I am proposing is about the what is basically validation and verification, why do we need it, and also what type of research method, yeah, to validate our product, our approach, our technique that we proposed, yeah, and from there, how we want to do the experiment. Okay, how? So we know that we have two experiments can be done either using technology or human, yeah. Okay, and it would be different, yeah, between experimenting with a human and experimenting with a technology, yeah.
Doctor, we cannot hear you.
Do like technology oriented, using tool you can do everything. You can test many algorithm, for example, okay. So it's different between technology and human oriented experiment, okay. And then how to design, so I just touch a few things on how to design. Okay, so from the conceptual, from the quality that we want to validate, okay, until the from the quality until the question, until the okay, until the question, or until uh, the metrics that we use to validate, yeah, the quality that we want, yeah. Okay, and then okay, when we talking about experiment, and when the experiment involve hypothesis, so we have to identify whether to refute or to accept, yeah, that hypothesis. In order to do that, we have to have a statistical technique, yeah. Okay, so then we have to identify what are the variables involved, yeah. Okay, so again, when we involve human and technology, it's different. Okay, when we involve human, we have to take care of uh, the preparation and execution. Maybe we have to be clearer, and also the selection of the subject, the respondent is very critical. Okay, if we wrongly choose the subject, maybe our data is not it did not help us in validating, yeah, what our approach or our technique or our approach technique, maybe our process, yeah. Okay, and again, what else? Okay, and also for those who are using survey, so you have to have a you have to identify the reliability of the construct. Yeah, okay, that is very crucial. Okay, so and then I introduced the research design. Yeah, okay. But this one is just a sample, so you have a better way in order to do the research design. But what I want to know is what I want to know what I want to know is how do you identify, or how do you how do you develop, or how do you design lah, your research design. Okay, so basically it's a different way, right? You're designing your experiment a different way. So maybe Irsyad, after this, his design is also different. Yeah, okay. So then the last part is the statistical methods, where again we want to refute, or we want to accept the hypothesis, so we have to prove it statistically. Yeah. Okay, so meaning that we have to use the correct statistical methods in order to analyze our data. Yeah. Okay, so that's what basically my content for today. So I'm sorry if the content is not that lengthy, but I'm okay. I will give you a survey after this. Okay, I hope that all of you who are here can answer the survey in order for me to identify what are other important matters, or other important things that should be included in this particular chapter, in my chapter, that is validation and verification in software engineering research. Yeah. Okay, so I will release the survey after Irsyad's presentation. So please fill in the survey so that I can and my friend can consider all the suitable content for this chapter. Okay, and you are the not customer, you are the reader of the book. So or your junior will be the reader of the book. So in a way you are helping yourself and also your junior in order to to have a good content for research methodology. Okay. So that's all.
Okay, so there is a question from Mustafa. He asked, he's a bit confused about the verification and validation. So in research, validation part comes first, then verification. For the industry, the verification comes first. After that, it's validated. Can you?
Okay. So basically, Mustafa are talking about the V model. Okay.
Yes, really.
Okay, but basically what I'm talking before this, I said about we want to validate, okay, validate our approach, our technique, and or our algorithm, or etc. So we validate the for me, validate we validate the product. Okay, when we are validating the product, we verify we verify verify whether the content of what we propose is the best. We verify whether all the quality that we suggest for that particular approach is the correct one, or is acceptable for the acceptable based on the experiment that we have done. Okay, but the V model, it's a different case. So because it's based on software testing, it's very it's verification. Yeah, in case of V model, first verify is done for a product from software developer, then it is validated by the test engineer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but basically, again, you verify and then the test engineer validate. Okay. But the validation also based on the completed product, right?
Yes, it's for the complete product.
Complete product.
But
Verification.
when we have a research topic where testing is main focus,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so how we have to do the verification part first or the validation part?
Okay. From the view of testing, we are verifying all the documentation, in every phases of the V model, right? From the
Yes,
requirement
yes.
until the testing, Okay, so meaning that we verify all the phases by phases, but we validate the whole product. Yeah, this for me it's the same case like your research. You verify all the technique, all the algorithm
Yeah.
based on the phases of your research. But at the end, it depends on your supervisor. But at the end, for me, validation is for the whole approach that you are, proposing, for your research.
Okay. Okay.
So in a way, it's this kind of the same with the V model, because you verify all based on phases and then you validate the whole product. Yeah. That is my opinion lah. Maybe other lecturer here wants to add.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Sorry, but Doctor, Mr. Mustaba asked before that the differences between industry and research, right? In the industry, we verify and we validate. Okay, and then you said that in research, you validate and you verify. That's the question.
Which one comes first?
Yeah, what comes first? Let's say a topic in research.
Why industry different with research? Because Mr. Mustaba said that in research we validate first and we verify.
Just my question, whether when a topic comes for a testing, let's say in research, whether we should do the verification part first or the validation. Did you get me?
So, Dr. Shahliza, is it the same?
I have answered just now.
So okay. Same lah, same. In the product and in research is the same process lah.
For me, okay, in my opinion, we are verifying, in all the phases in our research, we are verifying what we are, all the bits and pieces, meaning we are verifying our algorithm, we are verifying the documentation that we have, we are verifying the technique, but at the end, for me lah, in my PhD, at the end, I validate the whole thing. So I validate my whole approach, meaning from the first objective until the last, I validate it in one part, so that the whole product, the end product, is basically confirmed with the quality that I identified, in my experiment. Quality identified. Dr. Ahram, can you help me? Can you understand what I'm saying? Basically, for me,
Dr. Shahliza, do you have any slide? Do you have any slide presenting verification and validation for research?
I have this slide only. I couldn't find the exact slide.
This slide is referring to research or referring to development?
This
slide basically it's not it's validation of software specification. So
that
it's not
is,
totally on research. It's not totally in research.
that slide is for development, right? For product development. Okay. So in product development, any testing or any things that we do before we do the coding, it seems like the code is not ready yet. It seems like if the code is not ready yet, then we use verification. So we cannot interpret things. So we call it verification. So usually we use certain technique to verify, like review or the
unit testing and others.
verified, right? So because the code is not ready yet, there's nothing that we can run. That's why we verified. Okay, that is in development. Validation, after we have the code, then we can do certain execution. We can run unit by unit because we already have code. We can run component by component. We can run the interaction between the components, and then we can integrate everything to do acceptance testing. So unit testing, component testing, integration testing, and acceptance testing are all testing that we can do after we develop the code. So they call it validation. Anything to do with after we code, then we call it validation. Anything that we cannot do due to we don't have the code, but we somehow need to validate, right? We somehow need to verify. After we come up with the requirement, we need to verify to see whether the requirement is correct or not. After we come up with the algorithm, we need to verify whether the algorithm is correct or not. So that is the verification that we have in development. Okay, in research, okay, I have not. Might be Dr. Shahliza, it's worth for you to really in your book chapter later to see whether the verification and validation in research referring to the same thing. But again, we do not necessarily have code in. We not necessarily have code in research, right? Certain thing that we propose, we not implementing it in code. We might implementing it in process. For example, they say if I have a student who propose a agile process, for example, like Dr. Adila research, she proposed agile process, which we need to implement the process with human. Like for example, we need to implement a process in a software agile development process. We don't really implement the process as a code, right? For example, I think Dr. Shahliza, it's worth for you to see whether the context of verification and validation that we have in development are the same with the context and validation that we have in research.
But I have read one paper about validation and verification in research. So basically, the validation is for the whole research product, and verification is to verify the hypothesis of the object, the hypothesis of that particular verify the hypothesis, not the whole research product lah.
Okay.
So that is one paper only.
Maybe it's worth to if that is the case, like for example, for PhD student, for PhD student, in your contribution, you might have 3 or 4 things in the research, all right? And each of the, before you integrate everything together to become one contribution, big contribution, you need to double check each small contribution that you claim to be part of the big contribution, right? So might be that one, like for example, you say, by introducing this algorithm in the overall approach, will improve the effectiveness. So introducing the algorithm before you can check the algorithm functionality in overall approach, you need to verify the accuracy or the correctness of that algorithm within your context. So verifying small element that you have in the research might be the verification. But anyhow, it's good this question been raised, because we usually interchangeably use the verification and validation in research, but we did not use it interchangeably in development, software development, because we really know anything that without coding is verification. After coding, you verified it with coding, then that one is validation. Okay, but for the time being, our understanding from Dr. Shahliza's explanation is to the small contribution before you can combine it as a big contribution. That one is verification. But anyhow, might be it's worth for Dr. Shahliza to double check it with different literature, because this definition is based on one literature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's make things clearer, Mujtaba.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's understood. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Anyone has any more question? If there is no more question now, I would like to
want to make one comment. Okay. Research design is unique. I know it's unique. And then when you use a research design, some student, what they did in their thesis was they copy their research design from their friend, you know. They said, okay, this person already used this research design. And then he said, I assuming that research design is correct, and I borrow that research design into my contact. Okay. In that borrow situation need to be double checked to make sure that the original student who used the initial research design is correct. Okay, as mentioned by Dr. Shahliza, any research design that you develop must be thoroughly look into the context. Might be it correct for the context that previous researcher used, but not in the context of your research, even though your research seems to be quite similar, but somehow due to the changes of certain parameter, the research design might not work in your PhD or master thesis. Okay, this is my advice, because there from different viva that I attended, some researcher try to mention, I use this because the previous researcher used that. It's not the best way to answer. You just need to say, I use this because of what? Justification. And you can give example. Due to that reason, there are a number of researchers using the same approach that I use, the same design that I use here. For example, researcher number 1 to do what, researcher number 2 doing what. But the reason behind the researcher using that particular research design need to be understood and need to be matched with your research design. Okay, I hope all students who designing your research consider that in your mind. It's not just following other researcher design, but look at the reason of their doing that design or using that design, and then try to match it with your design. It might not match with your design, but the most important thing is the justification that you use and why the original researcher used that particular research design. Okay, thank you very much, Lokman.
Okay, thank you,
very
Prof.
much, Dr. Dayang.
Okay, so Irsyad, make sure your research design is correct. Okay. Okay, so now I would like to invite Mr. Irsyad to start his research progress presentation.
Thank you, Lokman, for hosting the curriculum. Assalamualaikum and good evening. to all, Dr. Dayang, Dr. Johanna, Dr. Adham, Dr. Shahliza, Dr. Noaini, and my fellow researchers. Wait, let me share the screen. Okay. So everyone can see my slide.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you, Lukman. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Irsyad, and I'm currently doing my Master of Philosophy in Software Engineering. My supervisor is Professor Dr. Dayan Nur Hayati Abanjawawi, and my co-supervisor is Associate Professor Dr. Wasbi bin Mamat. So today I will present my research progress on my research and our research hybrid prioritization with selection technique in regression testing. So throughout this presentation, there are four sections that I will explain, which are introduction, literature review, research methodology, and current progress. So what is regression testing? Regression testing is a method where it runs to ensure the modification made does not affect the existing model of a product. In simple words, we do regression by re-executing the test cases against the modified application to evaluate whether the modified code breaks anything which was working earlier. So here we have four techniques which are quite popular among the researchers. So we have test case selection, test suite minimization, test case prioritization, and retest all. So test case selection is a technique that runs the most relevant test cases with respect to the changes of or updates made to the system. Test suite minimization, a technique that seeks to eliminate redundant test cases in order to reduce the number of tests to run. Test case prioritization, a technique that reorder a set of test cases to achieve an early optimization based on preferred properties. And lastly, retest all is the most simple and straightforward technique as it executes all test cases without filtering or ordering. So these four techniques that I mentioned earlier is essential in the growth of regression testing. So in the previous slide, I have illustrated four techniques, and for this slide, I will explain more on this strategy, strength, and weaknesses. With no doubt, retest all don't have any strategy, but since it executes all test cases, it will have the highest rate of fault detection. But when we run all test cases, then we will come up with the issue of high cost and high effort. For the test case selection, it's select based on modified test case only. Since the test cases is not as many as the test all, it will produce less cost and less time. But when we select only the test cases that are modified, new test cases tends to miss out. For the test suite minimization, we eliminate test cases based on the redundancy. Also, since we are limiting the number of test cases, so the cost will be reduced. And for the weaknesses, the rate of fault detection will decrease. And for the test case prioritization, the strategy is to order and prioritizing based on any approaches that we can apply. So from the ordering of the test execution order, we can have the highest rate of fault detection. But since it also run all the test cases, it will be time consuming and not suitable for large test suite. So I have studied all the existing work, and I managed to summarize three statements that motivate me to do my research. The first one is the Software testing is an expensive step, especially when tests on large systems. These statements are collected from the Harvey works on 2016 on regression test cases prioritization using clustering and code change relevance. And for the second one is the search base are widely used by researchers. This is what I gained from the SLR made by my friend researcher, Katib. And lastly, the effectiveness of regression testing increases after applying a hybrid technique. And this work is quite new. It was published on 2020. The topic of the research is a hybrid selection and prioritization of regression test cases based on information retrieval and code coverage applied on an industrial case study. So for the research question, I have 4. The first one is how to enhance and apply string algorithm on finding the similarity between test cases. So for the first objective, I will study all the string algorithm and calculate the similarity using the string algorithm, which I will explain later. Secondly is the how to integrate the enhanced prioritization technique in selection technique. Third is what is the process in applying the proposed technique. This is where I will explain how I hybrid prioritization and selection. And fourth, how to evaluate the effectiveness of the proposed technique. So here we have 3 objectives. The first objective is to enhance string algorithm. The second objective is to propose a hybrid technique combining prioritization and selection. The final objective is to evaluate the implementation of the proposed technique on benchmark program and with case study. So now we are in literature review. So there are 3 key areas that I will like to explain: the selection algorithm, prioritization algorithm, and string algorithm. So for the selection algorithm, there are 3 algorithms that are widely used and related to my research. The genetic algorithm, metaheuristic inspired by the process of natural biological operator like mutation, crossover, and selection. The greedy algorithm, an algorithm that makes the optimal choice at each step as it attempts to find the overall optimal way to solve the entire problem. And lastly, adaptive random testing, an enhanced version of random testing. It improves the effectiveness of random testing by distributing test cases as evenly as possible. This is for the selection algorithm, so we have 3. So for the prioritization algorithm, so we have 3 also: local maximum distance, an approach that iterates over the initial unordered set of S configurations, searching for the maximum distance between 2 configurations. Next is global maximum distance algorithm that chooses the configuration that is the furthest from the previous configuration. All yes configuration is the algorithm that chooses the configuration which will first evaluate the maximum number of selected features. So if more than one setting has the same maximum number of features selected, the first feature will be selected. Okay. Next is string algorithm. So we have 4 algorithms. Levenstein distance. It is a character-based metric. Also, Jacob index and Joe-Winkler distance is also character-based metric. And cosine similarity is a word-based metric. So this string algorithm, this 4 string algorithm, I will calculate using this 4 algorithm to get the similarity between the test cases. So this is the experiment that I will be using for my research. The secondary is experiment study. So in other words, it is the benchmark experiment. This is the experiment that I download from this. Sorry, this is the data set that I download from software infrastructure repository. It is available online. So in Siemens, there are 7 C programs and subjects. And So these test cases provide 1,608 test cases, and it also provide us with the fault matrix. Since I'm doing this research on the fault coverage, the scope is on the fault, so I really need this fault matrix to calculate the average APFD, average percentage fault detection. Okay, so this is my real case study that I will implement after I have verified and evaluate my hybrid process with the benchmark data. So for the experiment study, we will be using a robotic wheelchair system, and down below here is what we have built so far using the robotic system. It is equipped with Arduino, Bluetooth module, limit switch, and infrared sensor. So this robot is a prototype of the robotic wheelchair system. So for the evaluation metrics, we will be evaluating. Actually, there are two, but I forgot to to include one. There's a time evaluation. So for now, I'll just tell the evaluation using APFD, where we will calculate the fault detection for each approach that we propose. Okay, so this is the overall proposed technique design for my research. So there are two two data sets, the benchmark system and the real case study. So just for your information, the green tick button show that I have completed the process. I mean the part of it. Those that I haven't take is I'm currently in progress on completing it. So the overall is, first we will extract the test cases from the experiment. So after we extract the test cases, we will apply two approaches of using prioritization technique. So the first approach is to use search-based approach using string algorithm, which I mentioned earlier. There are four: Levenstein, Jekyll, Winkler, and I forgot one more. Okay, so the other one is to apply fault coverage approach using genetic algorithm. These two approaches we will be using prioritization technique. So after we apply these two approaches on these test cases, we will get an execution order of test cases. So with these test cases execution order, we can merge and hybrid using the weight-based approach. This is where I apply selection algorithm. I will select the test execution order by assigning the importance of fault coverage. Then later, after I've merged and hybrid, it will generate a final test execution order, and this is the final result. So for the proposed string metric, this is what I illustrate using the burger image. I think everyone can see here that Joyce similarity and the wrinkler is the bread, and the inti is the Jacob index. This is how I enhance the Joyce similarity, Joyce wrinkler by enhancing with the Jacob index. So first, we split the Joyce-Winkler's equation back to its origin, the Joyce similarity, before it was enhanced with Winkler's equation. So from the origin Joyce similarity, there are three properties, which are length of string, matching characters, and transpositions. So for the matching characters and transposition is quite similar. The concept of the calculation is quite similar with the Jacob index. This is why I purposely substitute the properties from Jacob index with the Joyce similarity. So after I substitute it and modify it, the process of the calculation, then I reattach with the Winkler's equation. So this is the result of the prioritization result using the string algorithm. So from here, we can see that the enhanced Jaw-Winkler have increased the FPFD rate, the fault detection rate from the previous version. The improvement rate by the enhancement are about 6% on average. But then, if we were to compare with other result, clearly that cosine similarity, Jacob index, Levenshtein distance is still above, the result is still above with the one that we enhance. So our proposed technique does not stop here. Then we continue to the hybrid technique. So the plan, the plan of this hybrid techniques is like this. Okay, first step one is to list out all the test execution order. We generate from the prioritization technique using the fault coverage and also the string algorithm.
Irsyad, cannot hear you. Irsyad?
Here and blank it because sorry. So I purposely put the result here with no result for the hybrid enhanced Jaw-Winkler because I haven't managed to get the result yet. Now I'm currently developing it in the technical part because so after I've developed the technical part, then I can evaluate whether the proposed technique is logic or not. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Let's proceed to the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Irsyad. If anyone has any question, you can ask. There's question from me. Can you see the weakness in TCP?
Sorry?
The slide with the weakness in TCP.
Yes.
So the weakness in TCP about the time consuming and not suitable for large test suit. I'm not quite agree with that because actually TCP is the other way around. So it's very suitable for large test suit because so when the test suit is large, so if we run all the test cases, it will be not very significant, efficient. So when we order the test cases based on our specified objective, such as prioritizing fault detecting test case, so it will be more efficient. So that's why I think it's very suitable for large test suit. Maybe you can justify more why it is not suitable for large test suit.
Okay. Thank you, Lokman. So so from what I see is with TCP we have to execute all the test cases. So when there are many test cases, large test suite is not suitable. That is why I claim it as time consuming at the first place. But then seems like from your point of view is saying that if we apply on the large test suite, then the test cases with high fault will be on the top, meaning that we don't have to run all test cases. Am I right, Lukman?
Yes.
If that the case, then it won't be time consuming then.
Just that I think it's actually the strength of TCP for applying in large test suite.
Okay.
Just from what from my experience.
Okay. Thank you, Lokman. I will look into it further later.
Maybe you can justify more about that. So anyone has any more questions?
So I have questions also. Yeah.
My brother.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for a very good presentation. I have some questions, So first, regarding your robot wheelchair, can you explain a little bit more about robotic wheelchair? What is the speciality of this chair? I mean, when compared to your experimentation,
Okay, so for the robotic wheelchair system, to be honest, this robotic wheelchair system, will be built by by my junior. He's currently doing it for his PSM final year project. And for the robotic wheelchair system, we will our main goal is to assist patients for our stakeholder hospital Sultan Aminah. So what we propose is we propose it to allow the patient to navigate the robotic wheelchair system by not only the manual like the old ways. So we are trying to integrate it using the
with the navigator, you mean?
Navigation. Using the gaming pad, have you quite familiar with the gamepad? So we are trying to use that for the controlling and for the for the monitoring. We are using we are proposing to use the infrared sensor so that we can detect the obstacle. And also we are using the camera so that we can monitor the condition of the patient, also with the location of the wheelchair. This is just, for now, we are just managed to build the prototype. So maybe in few months later, we will see it on the actual wheelchair, I hope, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Then let's go to the last slide where you have shown the experimentation is not yet finished. Okay, the hybrid enhanced Jarrow-Winkler method. Let's not be negative, just to tell you, if suppose your readings are not up to expectation, what you will do?
Then I will, because the goal of my research is to increase the APFD rate of the proposed technique. If I am unable to increase the result of the APFD rate, then I have to come up with another solution. This is why at the first place we proposed the technique is to increase the APFD rate. So if this technique is unable to increase it, then we have no choice but to go back, take a few steps back, and then reconstruct the plan.
Okay. Okay, but I wish you all the best.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. That's all. Thanks. All the best.
Okay. Any more question?
Why did you need to increase the APFD rate?
Sorry, I can't hear you, Miss Miza.
Why do you need to increase the APFD rate in layman term?
Because this is how we evaluate the technique. There are some other way to evaluate the technique, but then the APFD using the APFD, for me, it is the most simplest way, because we only need to calculate the fault, and also we have to more to mathematically approach. I mean, it's quite easy for me. This is why I choose APFD rather than other evaluation technique. Also because of my seniors and those who have been have been researching about regression testing, or majority using the APFD technique evaluation. So there is also one of the reasons why I try to choose APFD rate. when we have seniors and we have other developers using APFD, right? So easier for me to like ask them and try to have some guideline and everything. So APFD is having quite easy for me to calculating it, evaluating it. Okay, thank you.
If I may add, so why you want to increase the FPFD rate? Because FPFD means average percentage of fault detected. So when higher FPFD, it means the fault detection of the test suit is higher. Okay, so the highest priority test cases will detect more faults, and that will result in higher FPFD. So you can see here the objective is to get higher fault detection when prioritizing test suit. So that's why.
That is a very good answer. I afraid from Irsyad answer. If you go with whatever, I think why.
Yes. Thank you, Luqman. I will be like you after
Mr.
this.
Luqman.
Okay, welcome. Okay, is there any more question?
Okay, Irsyad.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, simple answer only. What are the relationship between APFD?
Oh boy.
Okay, and coverage. Okay. APFD and coverage.
Sorry, Doctor. I couldn't understand your question.
Does the APFD matrix related to the coverage, meaning that if you cover most of the test suit to be tested using TCP, is that you get a more higher percentage of APFD, or if you have a less coverage, you have a less APFD, or other way around? Or the APFD doesn't relate anything about the coverage? So basically the question is, what is the relationship between APFD and the test coverage?
Okay, so the connection here from the lab is not stable. Is it related to the coverage? I don't really know the answer, but I'm guessing it's related because sorry, Doctor, actually I don't know. I don't have the answer. Can you show me the answer?
Okay, Luqman, can you answer that question? Katib, mana Katib?
Katib.
Katib and our.
Katib dalam lab. Ada yang lab?
Ada lab. Katib.
Oh, ada. Okay, Luqman.
Okay, so actually it depend for APFD, percentage of fault. I think it's not related because APFD you want to maximize, you want to prioritize test case with highest fault detection, not the coverage. Okay, so it is not related to coverage.
I just want to add a little. What is the quality actually related to the APFD, and what is the quality related to the coverage? Is it under different quality or the same? Is it effectiveness, or is it efficiency, or is it that kind of quality?
Wait, let me look into the ISO 19126 so that I can APFD. APFD is on the reliability, is on the fault tolerance. So this is what I get from Googling it. So I don't know whether it is the correct answer. I think my fellow researchers can help me figuring out the answer. Lukman.
So meaning that okay, APFD under reliability quality. So meaning coverage, I think it's not under reliability quality. It's another quality. I just want to know. So meaning that if it's in different quality, does it have any relation to each other? Right, between the coverage and the APFD. That is my point of view lah. If it's not the same quality, maybe it's not related to each other. Maybe, maybe.
Okay. I feel like Dr. Adham can explain more about it since I really don't know about it.
Okay, actually I'm at the same line with the Lokman. Actually, for my opinion, okay, APFD is directly not related to coverage because you can easily get the very high APFD even your coverage is maybe below 50%. Okay, but of course if you want, because the coverage the purpose of test as much as the number of the test cases lah. Okay, if you can get the 100% test coverage, meaning that you test all the test cases. Okay, but it's not necessarily that you can get the higher PFD if you test 100% test cases. Okay, if your software is very good in terms of coding. Okay, but again, if you want to find the answer, you okay, a very good suggestion by Dr. Johana. Okay, if you want to find a good answer, you must know the purpose of each metric. Okay, so the APFD, what is the purpose of APFD? And then another one is what is the purpose of the coverage? Then when you fully understand what is the purpose of each metric, and then you can analyze and you can make your own hypothesis lah, either that these two are related or not. Okay. That's why I asked Khatib lah, because Khatib is, I think, is very good in this two metric lah. Khatib mana Khatib?
Let me see.
Okay, after this you can discuss with Khatib lah. Okay,
yes.
You get my point?
Yes, I
especially the guideline by Dr. Johana lah. Okay, you need to find out the purpose of each matrix, EPFD ke, coverage ke, and so on. Okay, and then relate each other, either related or not, and so on. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you everyone for your question. And also thank you again, Dr. Shahliza, for the sharing, and Mr. Irsyad for the presentation. Now I think we can end our colloquium for today. Thank you everyone for your participation, and see you again in the upcoming colloquiums.